Welcome to Epic Recovery, where we embark on the transformative journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Join us as we unlock the secrets to genuine recovery, embracing our infinite possibilities, and forging an extraordinary life filled with purpose and profound meaning. Epic Recovery starts now.
Hello, epic people. Thank you for joining me for this week's episode. I'm really excited to talk to you about this today. I know I say that a lot, but I really am. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Something really cool happened the other day, and it just made me realize that this is what I want to talk about this week. So one of the cool things about the recovery journey, and as you start to build a more positive attitude and put more positive energy out there, you get it for yourself, and then you're able to give more to others. The universe will kind of give you some really cool gifts along the way. And one of the things that happened, I've talked about this a lot for the last month or so, or 2 months. Just moved here to San Diego, moved into this new apartment building. It's been a transition, and I'm doing the best I can, and I'm not expecting any more than that from myself. I allow myself to have my sadness, my fear, my happiness, my joy, my gratitude. Every feeling that comes up, I allow myself to feel it because each one is valid. And what happened one day, one of the many gifts that I've been given since I got here is I was at an event for the apartment complex. They had a food truck night. And once a month, they bring in some food trucks and you go down, you get some food. And I thought this would also be a good way for me to meet some neighbors. And I go down and there are a few people there and I'm talking to them, because I'm so shy and introverted. And I'm talking to them. And there's this couple there and I start talking, how long have you been here? They said, we've been here for a couple months. Oh, I just moved here a couple weeks ago. Where'd you move from? Orlando. Where'd you move from? LA. And I start talking to them. And really cool couple. I said, I'd love to keep in touch. I brought some business cards and I said, here's my card. Let's get together, go over to and grab some dinner or lunch one day. And they said, great. And I went on with my evening. I get home and I got an email that said, when we got home, we checked out your website and didn't know that you're one of us. We're in recovery too. I was like, no way. The first people that I really meet and talk to in my building, there are over 500 people who live here, and I meet 2 people who are in recovery. Really? Yes, really. And that's how this thing works. It's like just amazing gifts, little or big, come your way. And the thing is, every time the little or the big happens, I get grateful. Thank you so much for this amazing gift. And the universe says, oh, you're very welcome. Do you want more? I'm like, yeah. So I keep getting more. And it's been amazing. I've been here a little over a month. I've already been invited to 2 book clubs and a movie club. God, I'm having a blast. I'm having so much fun and grateful and happy. But you know what? At times, scared, sad. I'm alone sometimes, but I'm not lonely. And one of the things that happened a few days ago, I was downstairs and I was going out. Was it before my dog got here? I was going out to walk the dog, I think. And I ran into the guy who was in the office talking to them. And we started talking and how's it going? Oh man, I'm just feeling so grateful today. He said, you know what? Me too. And we started talking about how we start our day. And in that conversation, I said, there are a lot of people out there that start their day with, oh, I have to go to work and I have to get up and deal with traffic and what am I going to wear and just their day starts with a negative tone, and then they wonder why traffic is so bad. They wonder why work is so horrible. They wonder why. It's because whatever you're thinking, whatever you're putting out there is going to come back to you. I start every single day. Okay, that's every day that I remember to do this, because sometimes the alarm goes off, I hit snooze, I wake up, oh shit, I gotta go. And I go and I forget. I start my day on my knees and I start with thank you for the gift of a new day. and thank you for the gift of this day. And I run over, and I'm so grateful that I get to today, that I get to do this, and I get to talk to an audience. And my hope when I do these is that there's one person who's watching or listening who says, wow, I really got something out of that. Maybe I can make something more of my life. That's what I'm here to do. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. I don't get a lot of feedback. I don't get emails yet or people commenting yet, but I'm hoping that I will. And you know what? Let me know if you're getting something out of this. If there was something I said that really triggered, wow, you know what? Maybe I can. Because I started my recovery journey. I was, my bottom was sitting in my bedroom with a knife in my hand, debating which wrist to slice open first because I was done. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just cut open my throat instead. And I looked up in the mirror to see where to start. And I made eye contact and went, what the fuck are you doing? Oh my God. And I thought, you don't want to die. You need help. You have a drug problem. And it was the first time it really occurred to me. And I reached out for help. Most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. I called a hotline. And I really believe the woman who answered the phone that night, she saved my life. Because she gave me that one thing that I needed, which was hope. And it was just a little seed, a mustard seed of hope. And I started going to meetings, and I went to get a therapist, and I did most of everything that he suggested, rigorous honesty. And I worked hard on my recovery, not just my sobriety. Because I think I've talked about this before. I remember even in the early stages, I'd go to meetings and I'd see these guys sitting in the corner with, 20, 30 years of sobriety under their belt. And they kind of spewed, they need to hear themselves talk every week, and they just say the same thing. Or they're still filled with anger and resentment, which is just fear turned sideways. And they don't know how to break out of it. And I thought, I don't want what they have. I want more than that. And I did the work, and I was cocky and fearful and egotistical. And it took me a long time to learn how to get out of that, but I did. And I learned the difference between cocky and confident. And I learned the difference between humility and humiliation. Humiliation is a tool of ego. Humility is a tool of self-esteem. And that humility is not a bad thing. Humiliation is when I say, oh, what are people going to think? Nah, you know what? It doesn't matter what other people think. It matters what you think. And start treating yourself like your own best friend rather than your own worst bully. And you make a mistake, it's like, hey, it's okay. Everyone makes a mistake. I know 5 people that did that just last week. It's all right. You'll come through this. But how you start your day is going to be how your day is going to continue. I challenge you. First thing, get on your knees, because getting on your knees brings a level of humility. And that's what recovery is all about. Humility. I am not a perfect human. I am imperfect. I make mistakes all the time. I do stuff all the time where I'm like, why did you just do that? I'm like, I don't know, I'd like to change that. And a lot of my patterns I do change. I also practice Ho'onoponopono every day. And I say, please relieve me of the patterns that get in my way. For those patterns that get in my way, I am sorry. Please forgive me. And I love you and I thank you. And that's what Ho'onoponopono is. Look it up. It's Ho'onopono. Yeah, Ho'onoponopono. Look it up. It's an old Hawaiian spiritual practice that helps you to let go of old patterns that no longer serve you in order to leave space for new patterns that will serve you. So I do that every morning, and then I pray for the people that I pray for their health, for their safety. I pray for my dog because I love my dog. And it's like, let's go have a day. And the cool thing is, my last name is Haveson. So, all right, Haveson, let's go have a day, Haveson. And off I go. And I start with a smile. And I get off of my knees and I go on with my day. And I start it with a positive note. So tomorrow, when you wake up, Hit your knees. Whatever your spiritual connection is, God, universe, source, ocean, whatever it is, tap into it. And you say, thank you, God, thank you, universe, for the gift of a new day. Help me to make the most of it. Help me to stay out of my own way and to be of service to others, because gratitude and service are the two keys to recovery. When we're of service to others, man, it fills you up. I remember when I started doing service work, I didn't want to. My sponsor made me. It was not my choice to go do that. And he said, go start doing H&I. And H&I, for those of you who don't know, is where you go and you take a meeting to a treatment center or a jail or a place where people are in an inpatient setting and they can't get out to meetings. You take the meeting to them. And I was involved with a fellowship that was really new back then. And I went to the council and I said, I want to do an H&I meeting. And they said, we don't have H&I. I was like, oh, phew, okay. I went back to my sponsor and I said, oh, they don't have H&I. He said, what a great opportunity. Why don't you start it? I was like, what? I don't know how to do that. And this wave of fear, I don't know. What if I mess it up? And he said, you know what? Talk to the people in the other 12-step programs, find out what they did, and then you do that for your fellowship. I was like, oh, okay. So I called other 12-step programs and I talked to their H&I person and I said, what do you do? And they said, it's really simple. Just start with one meeting. Go find a place that wants you to do a meeting and bring it in there once a week. So I found an adolescent treatment center and I went and talked to them and I said, I want to bring an H&I meeting in. They're like, great. What day? I'm like, I don't care. They said, how about Monday at 7:00? I'm like, great. Monday at 7:00. Every Monday at 7:00, I would go to that meeting and talk to those kids and let them share. And I would bring other people from the fellowship. I'd go to my meetings and say, hey, if anyone wants to go to this H&I meeting with me, come on, let's do it. And then we started another one. And then we started another one. And it was just so cool to be able to take that meeting in and meet some of these kids. And then they'd get out of the program and then I'd see them in meetings. They're like, hey, Randy. I'm like, oh my God, let's go to other meetings. And I take them to other meetings. And a lot of those kids, they were sober for a while. And here's the gift. Oh, just got this wave of gratitude just talking about this. I didn't want to do H&I. I was scared, but my sponsor said, go do it. And I did it. About 6 months into doing the H&I meeting at that first adolescent center, one of the counselors came to me and said, hey, Randy, you work really well with these kids. They love you. We're hiring a program tech right now. Do you want to come work here? I was like, what? Who, me? Dude, I got kicked out of college twice. I'm just getting back in now. Come and work for a treatment center? He's like, yeah, I'll tell them about you. Go apply, and I'll tell them that you're going to come in for an interview. I'm like, okay. And I talked to my therapist. I said, they want me to work there. And he laughed. He's like, well, of course. Oh my God, I think you would be great there. And I asked my sponsor and he said, I think you would be great there. So I applied. And in the application, they said, what's your past experience? And I put down, well, I delivered pizza and I got fired. And let's see, I was a ticket scalper for a while. I was really good at that. I worked during the summer painting apartment buildings, like the railings and the walls. I didn't have a lot of experience, but I put it all down. And they said education. Well, I'm a 6th-year junior at San Diego State University. And I remember I gave them my resume and they called for an interview. Oh no, they called me and said, yeah, let's do an interview. I handed her my resume and what I put on the application. And she's looking at it and she looks at me, looks at it and looks at me. She said, I'm sorry, you don't have any experience whatsoever. Why would we hire you to do this? I'm like, I don't know. But Mike told me to come in here and apply for the job. He goes, oh, are you Randy, the one who does the meeting on Monday? I said, yeah. Oh my God, why didn't you tell me that? Of course we're going to hire you. I've been waiting for you to come in here. Really? She looks at that piece of paper and she's like, why would we hire you? She hears who I am and how I was of service to their patients. She's like, of course we're going to hire you. And that began my first career as a counselor in treatment centers. And I went from that one to another one to another one. You know, there's a treatment center here in San Diego called Scripps McDonald Center. And it was like the king of the mountain back then. And the counselors all wore ties to work. And I thought, I want to work there. And I went to a meeting there one time and I talked to a counselor and I said, I want to come work here. And they said, well, you have to have 2 years sober. I was like, oh, okay. I'll wait until I have 2 years sober. And when I had 2 years and a day sober, I went and applied for a job at the McDonald's Center. And they called me in for an interview. And guess who the person was that interviewed me for that job? The same person who interviewed me at that first job. That's how this thing works. When you're of service and you put yourself out there and you just do the best you can, it's not about being perfect. I was not perfect back then. I was cocky. I was filled with fear. I was stepping into situations. I had a total imposter syndrome. My therapist used to laugh. He says, you know, usually I find people that have a fear of success or a fear of failure. You have both. And I was like, yeah, I know, right? Lucky me. I was doing the best I could with the tools I had at the time. And one thing led to another, and there I was, wearing a tie at the Scripps McDonald Center. And it was one of the highlights of my life. And I thought, I want to do this forever. Until I spoke on a college campus. Someone from University of San Diego called my therapist and said, hey, do you know anyone who could come and speak during Alcohol Awareness Week? And my therapist said, yeah, I know a guy, and called me and said, hey, you want to go speak on this campus? I was like, yeah, that'll be fun. Speaking on a campus is kind of like speaking at a meeting. So I went and, you know, cocky, and I meet the woman who's going to introduce me, and I get up on stage, and there are 500 people out there. And I was scared to death. And I was like, I don't know what to say. And all of a sudden that cocky turned into total panic. And I was like, okay, God, whatever I'm supposed to do here, let me do it. And I got out there and just talked, kind of like what I do here. I don't plan what I'm going to say or how I'm going to say it. It's just stuff comes out of my mouth. I love doing this. And I talked for like 45 minutes. And I said, I hope you got something out of this and hope to see you around. And I got a standing ovation at a college talking about alcohol and drugs. Who does that? And afterwards, there was a line of students waiting to talk to me. And they said, yeah, I think I have a problem. And where do I go for help? Or I think my roommate has a problem. Or I grew up with a dad who was an alcoholic. Hey, I think you're so brave for doing this. I mean, one after the other, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy amazing. And after all the students left, I looked over and the woman who hired me was just standing there smiling. She said, Randy, that was one of the best talks on alcohol I've ever heard. I was like, thank you. Check this out. About 6 months later, she called me. She said, Randy, I'm at a conference in Northern California, and there's a college up here, a representative from a college. They got a 2-year grant, and they have 1 year left, and they're looking for someone to run their alcohol and drug program on their campus. Can I give them your name? I was like, what? Working on a college campus? I got kicked out of college twice. I don't know if I can do that. And I thought, yeah, give them my number. Why not? What do I have to lose? And I talked to my sponsor. I was like, what do I do? He said, you just did the first thing. You let them give you your number. If they call you, you talk to them. If they want a resume, you put together a resume. Just do it one step at a time. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do that. So they called me. We had an initial interview. They said, we'd like to see your resume. I put something together. But by then I had the treatment experience and I spoke on that college campus and I spoke at a high school once also. So I put that down and I sent it in and they called me and said, we'd like to fly you up to interview. What? And I called my sponsor. They want to fly me up and interview me. Okay. You're not taking the job. They haven't even offered it. Just go up and interview. Whew, okay. And I flew up and I interviewed, and I put on a tie for the interview. Woo, that was pretty special. And I interviewed, and I talked to the vice president of student affairs and the dean of students and the head of the SGA and a student group and peer educators. And it was like all day interview. I interviewed with like 8 different people in 8 hours. It was exhausting. And I left and I flew home like, wow, there's no way they're going to hire me. I messed that up so bad, because in each one of the interviews, of course, there were mistakes in each one. And I got a call and they said, Randy, we'd like to offer you the position. What? Are you kidding me? And we'd like to pay you. And they told me the salary. Okay. Can I have a couple days to think about it? Of course. And when would you want me to start? And it was like a couple months from then. I was like, okay, give me a couple days. And I immediately hung up and called my sponsor. Oh my God, they just offered me the job. What do I do? They said, do you want to do it? What was your feeling when you were there? I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. And he said, they know that, but you're new at this and they just want someone to come and fill the position. Just do the best you can. When had a meeting with my therapist, I said, they want to hire me. And he's like, wow, this would be cool. I accepted the job and I went up there and I became a university administrator. Since then, I've worked on 4 college campuses. On one of my campuses, I won an award for having one of the most effective, comprehensive health education programs at colleges in the country. Me, a druggie and a drunk who can't even deliver a pizza. And I started working on myself and making myself a better person and a better human. And I learned the difference between sobriety and recovery. And I got into recovery and I start my day with gratitude. And I continue to be of service to others. And my service today consists of when I'm checking out at the counter. Last night, I went to go buy dinner and I was the person behind the counter, just was this really cool young person. And my goal is whenever I see a cashier, I want to make them laugh. And if nothing else, make them smile. And I made her smile and I made her laugh. And I bought my food. And as I'm leaving, she goes, I just want to tell you, you have some really wonderful energy. I was like, oh my God, thank you. And you know what? So do you. And I wanted to give her a hug, but I thought, oh, it was a little too much on my first time seeing her. But just that energy was so cool. And she saw that in me. And I want people to see that in you. I want you to get to the point where your life is filled with gratitude. And yes, there's shit that's going to happen, but that the good stuff outweighs the bad. That you walk through your fears, you walk through your sadness, your shame, your pain, the things that brought on your addiction. You are a friggin' survivor. And if you survive that stuff while you were living through it, you can survive dealing with it now. Yeah, the feelings are going to hurt. They do. I know that. But they get better. It's kind of like when you get a cut on your finger. It hurts when it first happens, but as it heals, it gets better. And you do what needs to happen. You put the Neosporin on, you put the Band-Aid on so it doesn't keep getting infected. And then it starts to heal. And that's the whole purpose of this, for you to begin your healing or continue your healing. For some of you, I hope this is an affirmation that you're already living this way. But as I'm talking about these things, you're like, yeah, it really works. Yeah, this thing works. Yeah, starting with gratitude really works. It does. So yeah, comment, subscribe, do what you can do, because if you're doing this and it's working for you, share that with others. Let's start a community of people who are doing this. Let's start an epic recovery community. How much fun would that be? And maybe we could do like meetings online and we could do things where we talk to each other and support each other. I would love to be of service and get that going. So if you want to do that, put in a comment, shoot me an email, randy@randyhaveson.com. Let me know what I can do. Because, right now I'm thinking, am I just kind of talking to air right now, or are people actually watching and listening to this? I have no idea. So I would love to hear your feedback and your comments. I would love to hear what I can do to support you in your recovery, to not just be sober, to go that extra step. It is so worthwhile. I say this pretty much every meeting I go to, especially when there are a lot of newcomers. I say, if you can see from behind my eyes for just 30 seconds, you would never use again. And, yes, I do it one day at a time. Today, there is no way I'm going to pick up and do anything today. My life is too good. And I say this sometimes too, there's no situation that life can throw at me that drinking and using wouldn't make worse. It's no longer a solution for me. It's just a problem. And today I don't want to dwell on the problem. I want to live in solution. So thank you for being here today. Let me know what I can do to continue to support you. I really hope you got something out of this. Man, I felt like I was on fire today. So thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be of service, and I hope to hear from you. Have an awesome week. See you next week. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Epic Recovery. Remember, every obstacle you overcome is a testament to your heroic spirit. Conquer your fears, unlock your potential, and write the epic tale of your life's journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary.